September 1926. Eddie Clarkson leaves Charlotte, North Carolina, to court Elizabeth Barnhill. He travels by automobile to Uvalde, Texas. The trip takes 5 days. During the visit, Eddie proposes. Elizabeth accepts. Wedding plans are made, and a date is set. Eddie returns to Charlotte to build their home.
When Eddie used to come out to Texas to see me, we planned a house. And Eddie came home and bought a lot and sent me the dimensions, and I planned the garden.
When I came back from Texas with the plans that Elizabeth had drawn for this house, I built it exactly the way she wanted it built, including the little pool on the terrace.
Just like I wanted it, even to the fountain on the terrace. But I hadn't seen the garden, and he didn't show me a picture of it before we were married. And the surprise was, when we pulled up in front, there was no tree in sight. There was a small tree at the back, but you couldn't see it. And all of these lots were just red clay as far as your eye could see. It was just hopeless looking. But I started grubbing in the dirt the next day.
From its beginnings in 1927 as a Carolina clay field, Wing Haven has come to be nationally known as a garden and a bird sanctuary.
Together, we built the garden.
Close to the heart of urban Charlotte, North Carolina, Wing Haven is the result of the hard work and undying enthusiasm of its founders, Eddie and Elizabeth Clarkson.
We acquired 11 more parcels when we could afford it and people would give us terms, which meant that we had acquired slightly over 3 acres in the heart of Charlotte.
It's only 3.5 acres, but in the walls and paths of Wing Haven, there are over 350,000 bricks, more than enough to build 10 homes. There are hundreds of varieties of plants, flowers, and trees, 75 different herbs in the herb garden alone, and since 1930, over 130 species of birds have been sighted in Wing Haven. There's only one other place in the United States where wild birds are as tame as they are here. But what really makes Wing Haven special is the Clarksons
Got something good for you.
and their willingness to share their garden, their knowledge, and themselves with everyone from school children to bird lovers. They always take time to answer visitors' questions on how to attract wildlife to gardens.
His breath.
And if a child brings them a wounded bird, they'll do everything possible to speed its recovery.
For the past 25 or 30 years, I've had a lot of good little stories out of Wing Haven and Edwin and Elizabeth Clarkson. But the one I remember best occurred about 4 or 5 years ago. It seems that postman Glenn Udy had found this little bird, a robin, gasping, wheezing, about to kick out on the side of the road over in that area. And so he took the bird to Mrs. Clarkson. And she took it in and kept it for weeks, giving antibiotics and all of those things until it recovered. I happened to be talking with her in February, as I said, the most vicious winter we've had in my memory. And she was afraid she was going to lose the bird anyway, because being in this warm house all the time, said it'll freeze if I put it outside, it wouldn't live. If I keep it inside much longer, it's going to die from being in captivity. So one or the other of us had the idea, wouldn't it be great if we could get it to a ride south to the tropics? I said, why not? I'll ask in the morning's column. So I did a column item asking if anybody wanted to give a bird a ride to Florida. Had a call immediately from Jerry Calloway, a ramp serviceman at Eastern Airlines. He said, we'll fly it there. Have the bird out here at X time. We did. And Bob Robin rode first class on Barbara Weichsel's lap all the way to Miami International. They called me when they got there and said, we aren't going to release the bird here. We got to take it a few miles away to do that. They did. Bob Robin took off in the Wild Blue Yonder, went flying away over the Biscayne Bay. End of a happy little story.
It seems everything here was planned with the animals in mind. Pools and heated bird baths supply water even in the dead of winter. Azaleas and rose bushes provide places for nesting. And ligustrums, blackberries, cherries, and hollies produce food. The Clarksons even supplement this natural feed with fruits, grains, mealworms, seeds, cheeses, and peanut butter.
We attract so many birds to this place that we feed approximately 3,500 pounds of sunflower seed and grain to the birds each year. A lot of people might think that was an awful lot of bird food, but you seem to eat it all.
Over the years, the Clarksons have formed special bonds with many animals.
Come on, Cardinal.
Like Irving, a female wood duck Elizabeth nursed back to health.
Here he comes.
She left Wing Haven, but returned each spring, year after year. Like Daphne, a rabbit, who lived free in the house and played in the garden. And Tommy, one of Wing Haven's most famous birds.
We had to raise a family of bluebirds, 4 of them. The mother was killed when they were a day old, and they were about as big as the end of my thumb. This is Tommy, and this is a snuggler. This is Lady, and this is Little Fella. Tommy never slept outside a night in his life, even when he had babies. And one of the columnists that wrote about him said, there never was any old-fashioned double bed in Tommy's life. And he slept on Roget's Thesaurus for a couple of years and on Lincoln Library of Essential Information. He'd never slept outside a night in his life. And he never took a bath outside. I have 10 bird baths, but he wouldn't bathe outside. He had to have a soup bowl in my bathroom. And then he'd get up on the lampshade or on me and shake himself until he got dry. Anything that you had was Tommy's too, he felt like. And he liked to play with anything that he could get hold of. He'd pull a piece of Kleenex out of the box and fly with it on him like that, and he'd get mixed up in it, and he'd get on the floor and run across the floor like a little pink ghost. I knew what he was talking about. Whenever he made different sounds, I learned what bluebirds meant. I could tell when he saw a hawk. I could tell when he saw a snake. I could tell when he saw a female. And he was not afraid of anyone. And he loved to sit on my arms when I played the piano. And if I played arpeggios, all 4 of them would get on my arms and just hang on like they do on a limb that's where a breeze is catching it, you know. And he was just apparently as vain as he could be, because he'd sit in front of a mirror and preen himself and look at himself in all angles. And I don't know whether he really thought it was another bluebird or whether he thought he was just pretty. He always picked out something that looked pretty with blue. And he'd pick up a little violet and fly with it, or he'd pick up a little rose and fly with it. He was just a very attractive personality. He wasn't a bird at all to us.
You can get close to animals here, wild animals. There's a harmony, a freedom from fear that's unique. It's almost as if in this one spot, people and birds are equals. And there's something magical about that. It's this sense of discovery, of peace, that brings visitors back to Wing Haven again and again. Our society continues to grow more industrialized and more urban. We find ourselves increasingly separated from nature. We need places like this. We must have them. We must protect them. The Clarksons and their friends in the community have formed the Wing Haven Foundation to preserve Wing Haven as it is, forever. Once, this garden was the dream of two people. A single tree on a baked red clay field. And over the years, Elizabeth and Eddie exchanged bricks for Christmas presents and rose bushes for birthdays and fountains for anniversaries. And this place now is a living, growing expression of their lifelong commitment to an ideal and to each other.
My yard man, Uncle John Steele, was with me for about 20 years, and on his 90th birthday, he said, "Missy, did you start this garden?" We had cake and ice cream for him. And I said, "Yes, Uncle John, haven't I ever shown you the pictures?" And I took the pictures to him. It was just red clay, no trees, no flowers, anything. And he held it in his hand and looked a long time. And he said, "Just like a barn in an old field, that's the way you want your soul to grow, get more beautiful every day."